It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Monday, January 20th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another week together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on, do not follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have another exciting podcast for you. We have another testimony from another member over here in San Francisco. And of course, we have commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Hope you guys are having an amazing and awesome, the week's just started. I hope you had an awesome weekend and a great Sunday service. Just let me know how things went for you in your church. Don't forget, we have Q&A Thursday every single week, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. And if you haven't yet, please leave a like and comment to build our community. I'm just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. All right, so yes, this week, what is the Sunday message? The Sunday message for this week is destiny as seen by God. And there was like a ton of scriptures that came out. How many were there? There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 11, 12 different scriptures. Man, just the scriptures themselves, 12 different scriptures. And I hope it's something that everyone really, really gained a lot from, especially we're talking about this predestination also. And, I hope that if you guys have any things that you guys were thinking about when it comes to the Sunday message, I would love to hear what you guys thought also. It is Monday, and a very, very significant day here in America. Why? Because it is Inauguration Day, meaning January 20th is when the new president or the president-elect is inaugurated into office. So, yeah, it's another 4 years of President Donald J. Trump. And, it was, in America, very interesting. It's very, very overwhelming. It was an overwhelming victory for Donald Trump. And, I use Donald Trump right now a lot as an example of something that I think is very related to providence, right? And this is something that a lot of people who come to me and say, evangelism is so hard because Sunseem's reputation is bad. Look where he is right now. How do we tell people that he's in this place or this and that, right? And, I understand. It's hard, but when you think about it, it's exactly the same what happened 2,000 years ago when Jesus, too, he wasn't just in prison. He was crucified, which is the worst possible punishment for a criminal. Which means that if someone is crucified, it means it is the worst possible. They are only the worst possible criminals are going to be getting that punishment. So if you say that your leader got crucified, it's a huge thing where people will they'll frown upon it. Like, how can you have someone you follow and they're crucified? So it's not any different when you look at back then or right now. But I would say there's another similarity. So this is something that when you think about it, when Jesus was sent to the cross, it's because, he's in a religious society, right? And he was the thing that they were fighting over, and he got crucified because he said that he claimed to be the Son of God, right? So it had to be with how divine he was, him claiming to be the Son of God, right? So the thing that makes it really, really interesting is this. People will say that, look at the trial here, it has nothing to do with that. And the answer is, it actually has everything to do with it. So you're like, well, how so? Because we know what the charges are, right? But think about this, guys. There is absolutely no physical evidence available. So what's it based on? It's actually based on the testimony that they were incapable of resisting because of Sunseem's mission. So what are they arguing over? This brainwashing, or they're arguing over, does he call himself the Savior, the Messiah or not? And that is the big thing they're arguing over. This brainwashing that this is his position or his mission that he has, which means they're fighting over the exact same thing. It's got, the the actual charges are based on whether he, about who he claims to be. That's what they're arguing over. So when you see that too, it's like really, really interesting. And the reason, sorry, I got a little bit off track, but the reason why I talk about Trump so much, because when people say that Sunsim has such a bad reputation, I'm going to say like exactly the same thing is, so did Trump. Trump had a terrible reputation for the last, 8 years, maybe even 12 years when he was in office, from 2016 until now, which is 8 years. So if you think about it, he had such a terrible reputation from 2016 until now for 12 years. But because of all the people online, podcasters that were testifying and saying that it was wrong, that the media was, the mainstream media is bad, and all these other different things came out, what happened? Within a 12-year span, someone who was deemed to be the Antichrist, someone who's deemed to be someone really that bad, all of a sudden becomes what? They become someone who is, who's kind of their reputation gets somewhat redeemed, to the point where you have a landslide victory. So he won the popular vote, he won the electoral vote, he won the Senate, he won the House. He's got everything, right? And this was something that was once seen as impossible to see, right? So when you look at this, I look at Trump as an example of the recovery, right? Or the, the resurrection of reputation. Don't you guys think? That is kind of a resurrection of his reputation, that he was so bad and now the majority, he wins the popular vote, which was, once seen as impossible, right? So that's one of the things I look at and say, yeah, he's got a terrible reputation. But if you look at Trump, it's kind of a similar thing where now he's able to be restored completely. So that is something that I looked at and said, yeah, that's something that we can look to as all these people testifying over and over again to how great, or like the things that Trump has done and how unfair he's been treated. And then everyone slowly begins to see that it's true, right? So that's one of the reasons I would bring it up. So, this inauguration begins a new era. That's gonna be today, right? And a second thing I find very interesting is, not interesting, but it's today's my mom's birthday. She's born in 1952, which means now she is 73 years old. So a big happy birthday to Mama Sky, right? So a big birthday wish to my mom. I asked her what she wanted for her birthday. She says, I'm going to visit in April, so you could buy me a present then. So I was like, all right, I'll just buy you a present at that time then. So yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that one too, right? So I hope you guys are really, really enjoying and having an amazing and awesome week. We are getting close to the last third of January. The days of giving glory are all finished, and now we're getting into the last 10 days of January, and that is quite incredible that the first month is going to be over quite soon too, right? And for us in Korea, not this week. It's going to be the next week is going to be the Lunar New Year, and it's basically everyone gets a week off, which is kind of cool because by the time you guys hear this, I will already be flying to. I'll be flying to Korea. I'll be arriving on Tuesday because, number one is there's a 17-hour like time difference, and then on top of the 17 hours, it's a 12-hour flight, which means it's like a 29-hour differential is going to be coming from that time. So, I'll be arriving. I'll be missing an entire day. My entire Monday is just gone, right? And I'll be starting I'll arrive at like the pre-dawn on Tuesday. So, yeah, it kind of sucks to lose an entire day, but it's okay because I gained a day when I flew over here from Korea too. Yeah. So yeah, it's been an amazing and awesome time for me being here in America. Spent about 5 weeks here, and I would have to say, it's I visited a total of 9 regions out of 11. And the other 2 regions will be visited by the headquarters here too. So it has been a very graceful and amazing tour. And, when I go by what Sunsim's instructions were for me, is not only to meet, the instructions that Sunsim gave me was not only just to meet people, but what Sunsim told me was he wants me to like deliver impactful lectures and education, right? And then giving people a deep understanding of Sansim, both historically and biblically, and develop this expertise to guide others effectively. Like that's something that Sansim was writing to me about this too. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. But I would say that one of the most amazing things about this tour, right, is that it's the first time I've actually experienced where like I was like literally speaking the body of the Lord. Like literally, because many times we go. Well, other times too, we'll go travel somewhere, and then, of course, Sansim says, like I'm praying for you, and I'll be with you in these types of things where God is going to be with me and stuff like that also. But it's the first time it's been like a tour that I've seen in the past, where someone comes and then they write a letter and they get a response from Sansim and all these like it really I realize what it really feels like, because even for me coming, the focus was never on me. It's like when you look at the people, every region that I started with, they would constantly be saying, "Wow, it really feels like Sansim is here," and it's not because of me. It's because it's the concept, the spiritual concept is that Sansim sent me, right? And it feels even more real to me because when I send a report, there's an actual answer like in the moment, and I'm just like, whoa, this is so crazy. And it's not just me too. It's like when you have like American headquarters going to other regions, they'll get, he'll answer them too. It's kind of like, it's more of Sansim is saying, my eyes are on this region kind of thing. So it's the first time I've really felt like literally working together. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a visit from IMD. It was like a real Sansim coming to visit and seeing what is going on. And it became so real because of how Sansim supported it and how he focused a lot on America at this time. And whether it's sending a letter or whatever, or responding, or signing a picture, whatever it is, none of it's from me. None of it is from me. And in the end, I actually felt less burdened because I know that, Sansim's got my back, or I got Sansim's back, or I don't know how you'd call that. But then again, on the flip side, it's like it's not burdening, but it's burdening at the same time. Meaning, it's not burdening because Sansim does all the work kind of thing, but it is burdening because I know that I come as the body. I'm a representative, and that I have to do well too. And that's one of the bigger worries that I have is like, am I going to do well? Can I do well enough? Is this the right thing to say? And right now, as I'm recording this, I'm still in San Francisco, and I haven't even had the Sunday service yet, because tomorrow after Sunday service, I'll be speaking, and then on top of that, I will be going to a counseling, meeting people, and then going straight to the airport. So it's really, really interesting that I have to do this early because I don't have time tomorrow. But yeah, I've to feel that directly working together with Sansim is such a incredible feeling. Like it like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like this is what it feels like. And I feel so relieved that it's Sansim doing all the heavy lifting, even though I feel so bad that in his situations he's doing this. But yeah, I'm just very, very grateful and thankful in seeing how it actually works. But it also makes me understand the burden, and understanding at a very, very small level that I'm not doing this alone. And also I need to really, really do well too. But either way, yeah, those are a couple of things that have been on my mind and the things that I've been thinking about. And I hope it's, I still haven't really finished it yet. I'll be finishing by late Sunday night, which basically means that for you in the Asian countries, it'll be by lunchtime, right? A little after lunch. Yeah, actually in the afternoon, when it hits about 4 or 5 p.m. for you guys for Monday, 4 or 5 p.m., that's when I'm actually leaving to Korea around that time. Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of these things and just really express in my heart how thankful and how grateful I am to the Holy Trinity. And that is something that I cannot be more thankful for. And I'm hoping that I can really learn from this a lot and move forward and to be able to do even better for the future too. All right, either way. So, today we're going to get into the first music break, but after that, just great testimony time. I'll be interviewing and talking to Elder Tien. And he's one of the church reps over here in San Francisco. And he's like a stay-at-home dad. And he's got 4 kids. And I know those of you guys who know Elder Tien, he is amazing father, family man. His whole family is amazing. The children are even better, if you can believe that. The children are amazing and great. But I hope that you guys will enjoy that time listening to Tien's testimony too. So before we get into it, let's move into the music break of the day.
It's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Ooh, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Oh, I feel like I met you for the first time in forever. I never lose this feeling again. I won't throw away the passion in my heart, and I'll find the love that I had at the start. It's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Ooh, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? This feeling will never get old, like the first time we've been together. As long as you don't lose this love, that love will last forever. And as much as I know you're the best thing in my life, I will always tell you that I love you every time. It's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Ooh, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Oh, people believe in their fantasies, but not God. And that's the problem, that's why they say that it's too hard. No matter how blazy your love may be, our meetings and conversations are the same, you see. You can't let this love go to waste, doing the same things day to day, we're at the same place. Let's speak with hope about new things and the things you have done. I want to get closer to you, I want to give you my love. If you do not enjoy this love, it will disappear. When your thoughts are hard changes, he will take away your blessing. Gotta find your form, find your mission, and just find your blessings. Let's just get back to the old days and find out the temptations. I wanna get to know you, I want to show you that I can give you the word in many places, many spaces. I have seen a lot of people come and go. You're gonna make it, do your absolute best to reach the final destination. Yeah, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Ooh, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. But why do I feel this fate? Oh, can I get to know you? I just wanna know you. Can I get to know you? I just wanna know you. Can I get to know you? I just wanna know you. Can I get to know you? I just wanna know you.
All right, so I am over here in San Francisco, and me and Wanchan finished our road trip, and I arrived at Tien's place. Is it Elder Tien?
Yeah, but you just call it Tien.
Okay, we'll just call it Tien. Yeah, actually, even when we do this podcast, we're we don't use any titles and stuff like that. But this is Tien. I think some of you have seen his Sunday interview, the Sunday edition, and he talked about his stories and about his firstborn and stuff. But this is Tien. Please welcome Tien.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, so San Francisco. I have been here a couple times, but I have stayed. Every time I'm here, I do stay at his house and with his now 4 children. Yeah, he's got 4 children. It's really amazing. He is like the, what do you call it? The Mr. Mom? Mr. Mom. So he's at home taking care of all 4 children, which is like 3 girls and 1 boy. So I would have to say quite amazing and awesome. So a couple things that I wanted to talk about here. Firstly, I wanted to talk about his path into this history and maybe some of the things that really helped him to come into this history.
Sure. Okay. My path, as in, where should I start? You think?
You could start even before you came to Providence.
Oh, okay.
Like the life you lived.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, my path. I grew up Catholic, and I went to Catholic school, and I would always, not always, but I would try to go to church on Sundays, and my mom, told me to go to church. But what I really liked was, to be honest, not going to church, but hearing about stories about mostly Jesus or people within God's history. But then after I stopped my Catholic education, after 8th grade, I went to public school, a high school. And for me, that was something actually really big and new for me, because getting out of the Catholic school system was interesting for me, because I felt like I had a lot of rules in the Catholic school system. And with that, I always liked to rebel and like do exactly what I knew I shouldn't do. But then once I got to public school, I felt like, well, I don't think this was the case, but I felt like nobody cared. And I felt also I didn't have as many rules as before. So I realized I had to create my own destiny, and I had to make my life better. And me going against the rules would only, be to my demise. And so high school for me was, I would say, regular. I pursued playing football, but I'm not a smart guy. I didn't really get good grades. I just, graduated high school. But for me, my highlight was actually my friends. And when I was with my friends, I felt really good. But what's interesting is once I hit college, right, I went into a time where I wanted to actually separate myself from my friends, and I found myself actually trying to seek God. And when I was trying to seek God, I was going to these different places, but no one really could explain what I was reading. I was reading mostly in the New Testament, and then when I read into the Old Testament, I would look into like Proverbs. That was my favorite book, or Psalms. But to be honest, the other books would like put me to sleep really quickly in the Old Testament, and so I found myself reading more of Jesus's stories. And I think for me, I went to different Bible studies. I studied with different religions, but nobody could really give explanations that helped me ultimately feel closer to God. For me, a big gap for me, or a big problem for me, was I always was scared of, and I felt far from God, but I felt close to Jesus. And I felt like if I did something wrong, God would judge me. And so I had that feeling with and about God. And for me, when I started to study these Bible studies, I came in college. I started Sojim started to bridge the gap for me and God primarily, in understanding Him, helping me to see how vulnerable He really is, see how much He actually values me and loves me, and how much He wants to be a part of my life. And He showed me that through showing how much God really loved me and how much God really loved the people of the past. And this is, I think, the main way I came from my path to this new path.
Okay, so you came from that type of background, which is, I think one of the things that we do learn a lot is the background and history of each person plays like a vital role in how they come, right? So then you come to this history and like you've realized this history. What was like your first thoughts, or like what did you want to do when you first came into this history?
Well, it's funny. Like I was, so when I first came, I actually came, and just like high school, my friends were really important to me. Actually, when I first came, the people that I was around was really important to me, which was actually, at the time, Pete, Daisaku, Gabe, and Chad. And I hung out at their house. And, I learned the Bible studies from John Park, my evangelist. But then I think when it started to really sink in was when I was going around Pete. We would go to like Long Beach. Oh, sorry, Sky, Pastor Sky. And we would go to Cal State Long Beach.
Just give you letting you guys know that he says Pete because that was my name before I was Sky.
Okay, sorry. And we would go to Cal State Long Beach, and I remember he was teaching these newcomers, and I was just kind of the third wheel, tagging along and listening to the lessons again, but also kind of seeing how he operates. And then I remember I was on the couch, right, the green monster, right, and I remember Sky taught Sunstop, and I remember when I was going over that message in my head, I thought, wow, God, you gave your time to Joshua. And then I thought, wow, you're giving your time to me. And so I remember, I was looking up at the ceiling. I think it was popcorn ceiling, and then I was thinking to God, wow, this is how much you love him and me. And I said, when you give your time to me like this, I want to give my time back to you. And there's, other things that I thought of too, these different lessons. But when I first came in 2002, I met Sungjim not too long after. And I remember asking my evangelist, I was like, hey, John, like, is anybody learning this Bible study in Vietnam? And he said no. And I was like, oh. I was like, wow. And so that kind of, sparked an interest in my head. And to be honest, I remember around that time too, even though I made that promise later when I met Sungjim, I wanted to go to Vietnam. When it really came down to it, I was actually very scared and I didn't want to go. And I just got to go back to Vietnam just last November, and when I came back after 17 years, I saw I could really see what God did. I know it had to be God that grew Providence, and even right now as I'm sitting here, I'm really happy that I could be with Sky too, because when I remember he was a big part of my life too, but when he left to his different regions, he made an effect on these different nations. And I think even that guy, right? You helped that guy over there, right? Wanchan, yeah, come to this history, and you really never know what God's going to do. Okay, kind of.
Yeah, this is really. I think is the reason why I ask these questions. I think it's really important because it also helps us to remember what our thoughts were like when we first came to Providence and what we really wanted to accomplish. And it's something where it reminds us that, oh yeah, this is what I really wanted to do. This is something that I've really asked God to do also. So now, as you're because the thing I want to get to now is more so of being a father, right? So first thing but before we get into the father, my question would be after getting blessed, what did you see as the biggest change between you being a married man and a single man in Providence?
Yeah, sure. I can tell you the exact moment, but it might get a little bit graphic. Is that okay?
A little bit, yes, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little,
All right.
don't go too
Okay.
fast.
Yeah. Okay. So I got married in 2011, right? But let's fast forward, okay? Because in 2019, me and Alice were having not too good of a time. We were actually trying to have our fourth baby, but it wasn't happening as easy as when we were young and spry. And
Wow, how old was she at that time?
so she was 1978.
Oh, so she's at that time she's 40. No, 30. 2019.
She's in 40. She's already a 40.
Yeah, she's already 40. Yeah.
She's old.
Yeah.
I mean, I stopped counting. I just remember the year. Okay, so she's up there, and so am I. And between every baby, we had a miscarriage. And between Lele, our third baby, and Lucy, there was 2 miscarriages. And it was kind of later too. The miscarriages, later in the. Anyways, physically, it's really not too good on a woman, but also I would say much more mentally. It really tears them apart. And then she was in a kind of a spot where she's the type of girl that if something goes wrong, she'll punish herself, kind of Asian style, and and then so I remember during that time we were fighting a lot. And she was really disappointed with herself, not just because the baby, but also she actually thought she was not doing well physically and mentally and spiritually. But that's later. But we were fighting, and every time I would try to help, it was because she was so disappointed in herself and punishing herself. Whatever I'd said was kind of almost counterproductive. And what ended up happening was, I remember there was just one day we were getting into it, and I didn't even want to fight. So I just retreated to that garage over there, right? And I just went there to go cry on the swing in there. And then she came in, and she kind of barged into, she wanted to give me some more. But she saw my state, and she just decided to stop. And then at that time, she actually confessed to me oh, I'm not doing too hot, I'm not doing well at work, and I don't feel like my health is good, and I can't have a baby, and spiritually I'm not waking up to do morning message and listen to the word well. And so she was just beating herself up in all directions. And I remember I was asking the Holy Spirit, how can I help, right? And first I felt like the Holy Spirit was telling me her condition. I don't know if you've seen this. It was a revelation receiver. They said there's Satans, they don't punish this person. They have their personal cell, and they just give them a knife and they just cut themselves up. And I felt like Holy Spirit was telling me, oh, that's where Alice is at. And then I had a dream, and in that dream, I told Alice I loved her. Okay, and when I told her I loved her, she said no. I can't accept that. And then she went to another room, and she started, doing the deed with some other dude, right? Some random dude, right? And then I woke up, right? And so you rewind 2011, right? That younger Tien would be like, see ya, I'm out of here, right? But that current Tien of 2019, because of everything we went through, with my boy's cancer, and then also we went through this, this lawsuit with Sacramento. And what I asked for in blessing was, I asked God specifically for one thing. I want that wife that I have, my partner, we go through all kinds of crap together and we come out the other side together. That's the only thing I asked for. And I felt like I got that with her. And so she's so meaningful to me at this point. Love was not, and my position, who I am, was no longer about me. It was how can, because she's so valuable to me, because I love her so much, how can I help her to remember who she is? I had, it was kind of like I had no retreat. That was my only choice at that point. And this is somebody I love, but I can correlate that to also 2023, because I remember I was confessing to Sunshim, like, these people are betraying you, as they're being dragged away, but I know you love them. But I told Sunshim, I don't love them, but I know you do. Please help me to understand. And I feel like when you really love, there's no other option you have. The only option you have is actually you will help them remember who they are, to their family, to you, and to God. And so for me, as a father and as a husband, what I realize is you really gotta protect and provide in terms of health and love, not just physically, but spiritually too. And that was a hard part in our marriage, but it was also something that we were able to kind of, I guess, hike past.
Well, that's really incredible to be sharing, like, those are like intimate details between in your relationship with your wife and stuff like that too. And I think, like, the one big thing, the huge difference that I see between, like, the difference between like myself as agape and then, or myself, I don't know if I have to, I don't know if I should say that, but and also, looking at Tien, who's married with 4 kids, like, even being a head leader, one of the greatest differences I see is, I don't know, you could look at this in a good and bad way, but there is no escape from the bad times because you're living together. You can't, like, he just said in his story, is like, he escaped to the garage. Like, he's not like, I escaped and I went back home. He escaped to the garage in the same house. If it's me when I'm head leading, it's so different, because when I escape, I just go home, right? And there's no one else at my house except me, and I could just escape and just think the thoughts that I want to think. And it's interesting because I have to force myself to just really work on it. But in a married position, you're together no matter what. Like, she's there. You can't escape. You gotta fix it, or else it's just too awkward, or whatever it is. So that is something that I look at, and I have a lot of respect for, like, the families and what they go through and such. And I think it's really, really important for everyone to know. Even listening to Tien's testimony, you get to see that the power that comes from the marriage relationship. And I think it's something that a lot of people can learn and learn deeply about too, right? So that moves on to the other question when it comes to kids, because you're like a stay-at-home dad, and you have 4 kids that you're taking care of. What for you? Like, what is it like? What was it like in the beginning when you had 1 or just 2, compared to now when you have 4?
Oh, well, I think, to be honest, well, me and Alice, I call it, I have to really curb the grumpiness curve, because whenever I get grumpy, things go wrong quick. And what I notice is, if Sunshine said we shouldn't whip our kids, but dude, I was a rookie in the beginning. I was whipping my boy, but I realized Holy Spirit didn't like that. And
What do you mean by whipping?
I would like physically whip him with my hand or an object.
Like a spanking?
Yeah, spanking.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. When you say whip, it's like you're about to go to jail right now.
Yeah. I mean, I would spank him, but I noticed actually, really what it is whenever I would lose my temper, that was a product of my own bad character. And what I realized with any relationship, I have two choices, and I believe everybody has this same choice. And it's you can change yourself, or you can change your lover. And me getting frustrated and resorting to being very forceful, whether it's with my hands or with my words, I noticed is not the way to properly engage the situation or even help the situation. It's actually to the contrary. It makes everything worse when I do it that way. What I realized is I had to understand and really love them, because in the end, whatever they decide to do is up to them. And I didn't see that at first. I was very forceful, and I was very commanding and wanted things to go my way. But I realized, one, I wasn't always right, and my way is not always the best way as well. And so from that, first time rookie parent to now, yeah, with Lucy, me and Alice, we're just enjoying it now, because we went through the tornado of the three kids being so close in age, and now there's a big gap, 6 years between Lele, number 3, and number 4, and we notice we're just enjoying it, and it's a really precious time. And whatever they do with their life, it's up to them. But if I'm to make any effect, I know the strongest way is through love. Of course, I need to help them build good habits and help them not to kill themselves. But in the end, it's connecting them with the origin of love, and then also representing that love too. I realized, and it's hard. It's not easy, but that's what I realized. If I can, talk to my former self, just starting out, that rookie kid, I'd tell him to take your time and don't be in a rush to make Tommy do your will, but try to feel and see what's actually the best and God's will for the whole family.
Okay, so I think there's I can see some parallels, like even me and my being a single and stuff, like in my life too, realizing the exact same thing. Like being a parent, I think is very similar to being a head leader too. And there is that moment where you kind of force things in, and you want things, you think what is best, or you think what's the right way. And for me too, I had that epiphany where I realized, man, you know what? Even though I think something is the right way to do it, I really don't know if it's really right or not. So for me, it took me to, go through the head leading for 4 years, and then look back on it and kind of look back at the things that hurt and the things that I could have done better. But as a parent, like, what was the moment you're like, oh, I'm really forceful, or I shouldn't, I'm not always right? Like, what was that moment?
Well, there's some things that come to mind. The first one that I could remember was, I think Tummy was right before 2 years old. He must have been like 1.5, or, creeping up on 2 years old. And he wanted like a 30 foot, 20 foot kind of buffer between me and him physically. And, but he still wanted to know and see I was in his vicinity, you know. And I remember we were walking on the street, and tell me he couldn't talk yet, but he looked at me, and with his eyes he told me, "Hey, you coming or what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming." But I thought to myself in my head, "I'm coming, boy, but I can't always be with you. Actually, God will always take care of you." What I said in my mind. And I knew, my time with him is just a little bit. And God will ultimately take care of you, is what I realized. And another thing that helped me to actually see his value and see how powerless I am was, when I saw, like, when I learned that he had that tumor, I didn't know if I was going to have him the next day. And so everything up to that point I knew didn't matter. The only thing I could actually give him, maybe, if he accepts, is my love and my loyalty. That's the only thing I could give. And I realized how powerless I am, and how much of a gift it was for me to spend time with him. And then, so what I realized is, if I realized anything, is I don't have any power whatsoever. The only thing I have is the blessing that I get to spend time with him. And so I remember when I realized he had that tumor, all I can ask God for was, can I have some more time with him, please? And so from the beginning till now, what I realize is I have the blessing of time. And during that time, what can I really give? I don't got money to give him, but if I can give him any shortcuts to God, to the origin of love, and if I can represent God to where God will be happy and satisfied, hey, thank you for giving the message that I want to give him, kind of thing. That I take that approach. What I realize is I don't have any power.
Oh, yeah, it's really refreshing. I think right now, well, mainly even with all the podcasts I'm doing lately, is me and Wanchan for the last 2 days and such, and now being with Tien. I think it's really refreshing to be. Don't take this the wrong way, girls, but like talking to other guys about these vulnerable moments and such, and I think it's something that's refreshing to share with other people also. But I hope that you guys can really realize and gain a lot from this too, because it's really important for all of us to really realize deeply exactly what God has been doing for us. And it's a really sobering moment when he said, he doesn't know how much time he has, right, with his child. And I think that's something that we kind of realize with our parents as they get older. And I would say even now, we're going to realize our time with Sunstein. Because for most people, even my age, Sunstein's older than our parents. Like, Sunstein's older than my parents, right? Most people, Sunstein's older than all their parents, right? And the time that we have, and the time that we don't have, because we're not going to be... we can't see him over the next 2 decades, like literally face to face. So it's something that we do have to cherish and value, and understand what we need to do with our time now that we're living in this history. And now that the most difficult time is past, what are we going to do next, right? So yeah, very, very grateful and thankful to Tien for his time. Hopefully you guys will be able to gain a lot from this too. All right, so... this is Pastor Sky and Tien signing out.
Bye.
Laters.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know.